Hello everyone, it is Joe here from Omnipoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. If you're looking for PTCGO codes, including the stuff from Evolving Skies, make sure you go ahead and check out the Potown store. You can get a 5% discount on your order using that code Omnipoke. For today's video, we are going to be looking at Suicune Altaria. Pretty interesting archetype. This is going to be for the POG format, and the reason why we like this combo pre-rotation is that you get to play Stamp and Jesse James as a combo to reduce your opponent's hand size to 0, just like something like a Night Watch effect that you see with Shadow Rider, where we're going to try and get them down to 0 card hands. So even if they are just a couple of prizes or like one knockout away from closing the game, we can try and stamp their hand away and put them in top deck mode to actually do anything the following turn. And it can be a great way for us to bring back wins. And the engine really is going to be something that we do see even into that post rotation. And I imagine, well, what I've seen so far from Altaria Suicune, I like. So yeah, we have the fleet-footed ability from Suicune V. Once in your turn, if it's active, you can draw a card. Simple as that. You can pivot in and out of your Suicunes and get multiple fleet-footed abilities in a turn, which is pretty nice. And the attack here is Blizzard Rondo. For a water and a colorless, you get to do 20 plus 20 more for each benched Pokemon. That's both players. So with our own bench, we're doing 120, and we can go all the way up to 220 as our maximum damage output, which can be dealing with, you know, V Pokemon and all these little helpful, like, low hit point 2 prizes as well. And yeah, we're putting good chunks into VMAXs, two-shotting them for the most part. We can get close on tag teams, especially with the help of quick shootings in the mid to late game. So yeah, that's the presence and pressure that we can put on with Suicune. So yeah, very solid card overall. If your opponent is trying to limit your damage output, they're limiting their own setup. So just in general, it's a disruptive card or is a high damage output card. Either way, we're pretty happy here. And that's kind of why we're playing the Inteleon engine for the most part here, because we have, well, Shady Dealings obviously helps us cherry pick some cards, just like you've seen with Ice Rider. It can help you get things like Melony going. It can get your discard synergy pieces like Quick Ball and Viridian to get into Water Energy, and that's all good for your early game setup. It gets you into Ball Search because you want to go wide on your bench as quickly as possible. That's why we see such a high amount of Ball Search in the opening turns, as well as Capture Energy to go spread on the board. So yeah, the Drizzile helps get going, but in the late game, well, once you're able to evolve into your Inteleon, quick shooting is helping your math. It means your opponent can far less easily stay out of range of KOs of Rondos, and it means that we can start stacking up damage counters onto VMAXs and really get close to those guys. Obviously going to help out against any one prize decks that we run into. It's our main answer against Decidueye, all that sort of thing. So yeah, and we are playing one big Shady Dealings Inteleon. It helps us cherry pick some pieces together. It means we don't have to lean into the 1/1 Altaria so much. You also have the big Shady that can get you things like Stamp JJ. So yeah, always pretty good in general. But yeah, the Altaria is another piece to this puzzle. It's only a 1/1 line, but it's quite a nice one, and you will try and develop it in most games if it's not prized. It's a 90 hit point free retreater that has the Tempting Tune ability, allows you to put a supporter on top of your deck, just like a Magcargo would, but limited only to supporters. The upside is it's a free retreater that's Level Ball searchable, which is kind of nice, and it has great synergy with Suicune, of course, because you just pop the right supporter for the occasion on top, then fleet-footed straight into it. That means we can be always threatening boss, always threatening like your next Melony to maintain your attackers, so there's no stress or headache about that the entire time. That's really nice, and it means that we can cherry pick our disruptive supporter combo of Jesse James and Stamp when need be. So yeah, really cool all round. It just gives you so much less headache throughout the game. You just know that you're going to be continually finding supporters, drawing cards throughout the entire game, and that's always a nice feeling to have, not having to like panic draw into those sorts of options. You can make sure that you hit them, and yeah, overall, really nice 1/1 line. Then we're playing one Dedenne just to draw us some more cards, especially in those opening turns when you do want to go wide. If you are the player going second, we can try and hit with Blizzard Rondo turn 1. So we want to maximize that damage output by filling up our board. And obviously this has discard synergy with water energy early. So yeah, obviously very good there. And we're seeing one Rowlet in here. I actually got this idea from Henry Brand, who's been testing a lot of Suicune himself on his streams. The Sky Circus, allowing us to attack for free via the use of a Bird Keeper, is actually really solid. And Windshard is just a good attack in general. I think oftentimes, like I said, Suicune getting around that sort of 180 to 200 benchmark means that we can quite easily finish things off like tag teams with a Sky Circus. It's also really good at dealing with opposing Sobbles and other evolving lower hit point Pokemon that are around right now. So yeah, Rowlet, a very good card. for getting us early tempo and meaning that we can actually use a Bird Keeper in the early stages and still put damage into play. So ultimately, I really like this Rowlet. It's also just a one-prize Pokemon that we can throw into the active and skew with the opponent's prize trade. Especially helpful if we're doing like Stamp JJ sort of things. Well, Stamp things. I guess you can't use the Jesse James, but if you're putting your opponent's hand size low, you can put the Rowlet in the active, make them not have boss, that sort of thing. So, or make them have boss, I should say. So yeah, overall, a pretty cheeky one-off that we can have here that allows us just to attach onto our Suicunes on the bench where they're nice and safe, whilst also still be putting bench pressure on. So the Bird Keeper and the Melony is a big part of our sort of draw engine here. The trainers are pretty simple. We're just trying to get our Pokemon out into play, and then we have our stamps for hand disruption. Viridian's the stadium of choice. Even though we have Capacious Buckets, I'm choosing to play Viridian instead, just because I want additional discard synergy cards, and I want to have stadium bounces so that I am able to fleet-footed throughout the entire game and bounce path to the peaks. So you could go down just to 2 Viridian and have like 1 bucket in here for some min-maxing, but ultimately I think just 3 stadiums is the sweet spot for me when I'm so reliant on my own ability. Obviously, you can still be drawing cards with your Inteleons and that sort of thing. You could even think about playing a Rangaroo in here to serve a similar purpose as fleet-footed to combine with the Altaria if you really wanted to. So it's not like we're completely wrecked by path, but there are a few ways around it. Overall, I like having the 3 count here. Then we have a fairly strange support account, and it's, again, mostly because we can cherry pick for the right time with Altaria. So we have the disruptive Jesse James. This isn't exclusively good for Stamp. This is just good at any point where your opponent gets into a low hand size. So this can actually be activated in some interesting situations. Reminds me of when Zoroark used to play Delinquent, and at any point they could be threatening Lele Delinquent, so your opponent had to play differently the entire game. So yeah, I think the Jesse James is interesting in that regard and has caught people off guard when I've played so far on the ladder, which is really cool. Then we have the 1 Marnie, the 1 Research. Really, we're trying to look to do other things, which is mostly Melony here, making sure that we continue to grow that hand size with the fleet-footed, whilst also making sure that we can continually Blizzard Rondo, which is nice. The Bird Keepers also help us with that strategy of growing a hand size, opens up the Rowlet, and allows us to pivot in between Suicunes for additional cards with fleet-footed, which is cool. And then bosses ordering things up is obviously important, especially when we're mostly a 2-hit KO style deck. The balloons help us move in and out of the Suicunes. We have natural free retreat with Altaria as well, so it's not like we need many more than 2 copies here. And then we have the 3 captures and still 7 waters. You could go 4-6 if you really wanted to, but I have been stung by not being able to discard the waters, so at the moment that's the count that I'm on. A few other cards you can think about here. An interesting one actually is Medicham V, because you have Melony, you can attach to the Medicham, it's a colorless attack cost, and you can try and buy yourself an extra turn. Whenever you play this many quick shooting Inteleons, the option is open for you to make these sorts of plays to buy yourself a free turn, and essentially that turn in theory allows you to do more quick shooting pings and that sort of thing. So yeah, that's an interesting card you could certainly work into the list. Currently we're not playing any valid GX attack option, so as well looking for some other GX options could be pretty interesting. Outside of that, Guru I've already mentioned. In terms of Pokemon, don't think there's too much else that I consider realistically. But yeah, that's sort of what we're going for here. I have also tried an Aurora Suicune, and that's also been like fine for me. It depends, you know, what sort of tech attacking Pokemon you want to be playing. But right now I wanted to show off the sort of hand disruption combo element and see if we can pull it off in some of these games and really put our opponent in a situation where we're probably 1 attack away from winning and they have 1 draw to try and get themselves out of a bad spot. So yeah, that's what we're going to go for here. Oh, Surge is another card you could certainly think about. Surge's strategy that allows you to make some really wonky combos with like Boss JJ or Melony JJ. So that's pretty spicy. You could certainly think about that. Raihan is also another interesting supporter. At the moment, I'm going pure Melony just because I want the extra option of doing an attack turn 1 going second, rather than having the Raihan that could cherry pick things like the stamps and stuff. But in general, we have the Inteleon line to do that for us, so I don't feel like it's too mandatory. We are going second here, and we actually do rip the Melony off the top, which is great news. I'm actually not going to discard any more waters, I don't think, because I've already guaranteed that Melony now. So I'm not going to take one out of deck here. We will just quick ball for a Sob. Let's see. Altaria is in him, which is nice. What else have we got going on? Let's draw R3, I think. We'll take an extra card. Extra Suicune is nice. I think we just go I actually have supporters set for the next few turns because I just have more Melonies and more activations. So we will do that. I guess if I want to open up this next Melony now, I should guarantee it before Stadium Bounce. And even though this isn't obviously a KO, we're putting a decent chunk in here. And we can make damage counters last into the late game with these quick shooters. So it's actually a pretty helpful option to have here. Which is nice. So let's see actually what our opponent's playing. Looks like they might be playing either Sylveon or Rapid Strike Urshifu, right? Looks like it's Urshifu that's just had a bad turn 1. Then they put down an Urshifu, get down to Dedenne, get an energy drop. They are going to quick ball away for their own Sobble. And I'm going to pass it over to us. Right. Let's attach the Suicune first. I want to grab Swab, I think. They are threatening KO on my Sobble, so I may just go for third Sob, because I would like quick shooting to come down. Let's Melony here. Let's draw our additional card. I'm not afraid of them getting energy. They even quick-balled away an energy search, so shouldn't be a problem. I will go into Drizzile. I think I'm just going to do a level ball chain and make him KO my Drizziles. Then I'm going to threaten Swablu, because I'd actually prefer him to KO Swablu. I want one of these Drizziles to stick, realistically. So I might be using Swablu as a half-sacrificial lamb here. I do want to keep discarding water. I need to see if my last stamp is in deck. It is. So I think I can take advantage of this now. Do I even need attachment next turn? I'll be Melonying a third energy on just to draw more cards. I think I'm tossing a stamp here. Yeah. And if he chooses to rapid flow the double Suicune, that actually allows us to Jesse James him, quite likely. So we take our first 2. We're by no means like out of the woods yet. Urshifu is still such a ridiculously strong archetype in this format that they can make all sorts of comebacks happen. They're going to go for Drizzile here probably. And shade their way into something. They have a low hand size, so it could be a research, could be a Marnie. We'll see. Erica's, yeah, that's a good one. 6 fresh cards. Let's see what they can do with them. They can shift into the active with a net. Quite happy to see it get picked up rather than evolving into some quick shooters, because that's where things really get dicey. They're going to have Viridian for a fighting. Okay, so no Gmax Rapid Flow either, just a Gale Thrust this turn. It does evolve up into double VMAX. Let's go ahead and have a think about what supporter I want to play this turn. I think I'm happy playing the Bird Keeper this turn. I could just boss the Sobble now and KO it. Do I have the third? I do have all of my quick shooters in here. So if I just double ping the Sobble, even if he evolves into Drizzile, I can slowly get there, right? Let's do this. Let's grab and hold this, I think. Then I can fleet-footed. Oops. We actually have one more card to draw here. I should have done that before the incense. It's not going to change much. Right, so we've got double quick shooter going. I'm actually going to attach to one of these as well, just as a placeholder energy. That if I need to attack with, I can. So let's start thinking about our damage. We're at 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. This goes to 200. Or I can go double ping. He evolves up to 90. And if he doesn't rapid flow the Drizzile, he could just get knocked out that way. And then I'm just two-shotting this to victory. So I think I need to make him rapid flow Drizzile Swablu. And let's just Rondo here. He's got so few Sobbles down early that it's going to be rough for him no matter what, right? He's put a lot of requisite damage in on the Suicune. So he is kind of incentivized to go for that card rather than go for my Drizzile Swablu. But I could also see him easily going for that play as well. Because then his line is 2 and then the 4 here. We'll see how he wants to play it, and even if he is able to get the Rapid Strike energy in the first place. Actually, Karate Belt's the bench rather than active with Viridian as an option, so maybe they're out of basic fighting with 3 down. Normally plays 4, right? They're going to stamp us, which feels kind of important. Let's see where they're going to rapid flow. They're going to replace Stadium. Oh man, they miss again. Okay, I think that should... That's actually just game, right? Yep, that is just game. We're at 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Oh, I'm not at game, but I basically can't lose now. Because I'm taking this off the board. I should still take this off the board, no matter what, though. We'll play this just to play it. I'm going to draw the card, then I'll tempting after. Because we're at 120, 140, 160. Yeah, we're 10 off, but we have 3 Inteleons that he can't deal with. Basically ever. So... I'll just put this on top because it's card draw. We'll just swing. So, unless he plays Cheryl, we can't lose. Pretty sure they don't play Cheryl very often. Looking like we just got more Inteleons out in the early stages. Obviously, they started to Dedenne pass, right? So... Let's start with slow. This is actually one of the hardest matchups, I would say. Because we're not playing any healing, we have relatively low hit points, and we have a lot of Pokemon that if we don't evolve up into the Intels in time, they are very vulnerable cards. We'll see how they're going to try and do this. They're just going to try and stamp us down. And they're just going to rapid flow, but... As long as there's no Cheryl, we're fine. Cool. He's gonna take some prizes just to say that he took some prizes, and then we'll crack on to the next one. Nice win against Urshifu. I do think that's one of the hardest ones I've had in testing so far. I was actually recording or trying to get games in with Suicune Altaria yesterday. I ended up playing for like 8 hours with lots of different builds of Suicune because I'm really interested in the engine, especially for post rotation as well. And yeah, Rapid Strike was one of the hardest matchups for us over the course of the games I had. Sometimes you're just panic hand blocking and hoping. What is this? Ornery Rod. Palpad. They play Palpad and Path. It's a strange combination of cards. I'm going to start by tossing this, then I'll quick ball. Will I quick ball? No, I want to draw more Pokemon, so I'll fleet-footed first, just to draw Pokemon. Ball search is always welcome. So you can see with the amount of ball search we have, we can fill the board quite quickly. So I see a Marshadow. It makes me think it's Shadow Rider, just because the Ordinary Rod. The Palpad's the thing that's kind of throwing me off. So I'm going to try and play around Gengar as best I can here and just thin this. Even if it is just for one of these. How many level balls do I have, actually? I might just do this and then level ball chain next turn with the incense. It's a very robust start for us. Let's just pass. And obviously the incense can be, you know, Drizzile, then Altaria, then I can fleet-footed Altaria for Melony if I want to, or any other supporter. Actually throw away the Ornery Rod straight away. Should get some good insight now. Yeah, it's going to be a Shadow Rider. Shadow Rider that plays Palpad. Kinda crazy. Actually throw away the Ordinary Rod and 2 Shadow Rider. They could have done that way more intelligently. They could have just quick pulled away a Shadow Rider, then Ordinary Rodded back in. But here we are. I'm gonna get rid of the Viridian. Throw away a lot of supporters. Good thing they play Palpad. They actually do get the Air Balloon, but they choose not to GX just yet. Okay. So with the Dedenne on board, it's actually worthwhile me taking this one prize, which is nice. I'll also have 2 energies on Suicune active to be able to attack into this Gengar, even if he Horror Houses, which is also pretty nice. I'm also going to be evolving up a bunch of my Drizziles, which is going to be pretty nice. So I'm going to go for one more level ball, just thin them all out of the deck, then get Altaria, then get Melony. We're at 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Yeah, I was just thinking if ever it's just an aggro boss. But I don't think it ever is. Alright, so here's Altaria. Here's the Tempt. Here's the Melony. We set it up turn 1. take our prize. So they're going to full value Horror House basically every time here. But we should have a decent response to the Gengar, honestly. They typically do have to go wide with their Shadow Riders to actually get anything done, so they can't really play around Rondo too easily. And we're threatening double quick shooting next turn anyway. He really needs to boss and Horror House, to be honest, to have a good chance still in this game. If he boss Horror Houses, he's got a better shot. But if he just GXs, I guess maybe he could do it the following turn. We'll see. Heartbreak emoji. Why? Okay, so he does have boss. Ah, so he's heartbroken because he wasn't able to get the extra goodness. So I'm actually allowed to fleet-footed for a card here. Do I want the extra card? He's at 15. Yeah, I'll take the card, sure. It also makes him think that he can actually Poltergeist KO, which he can't. So that's cool. I'll pop that to the top. And we'll just pass. So he may think I drew... So it's like that whole Zacian thing, right? Where you Intrepid Sword because you're already doing so much damage that you take a KO. So he may think that. Yeah, he actually does think that. Outsmarted. So we're at 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. So yeah, okay, they're just done. They're just done. I basically just go double quick shooting there, ping him down 2 times, attack him. Then next turn we just boss Dedenne game. He actually just can't win there. They had a really bad start though. We've beaten Shadow Rider and Urshifu so far, but both having pretty poor leads. It won't always go like that. But we've had some pretty stunning setups ourselves and been able to really maximize the punishment. That's kind of the good thing about Altaria Suicune as a combo, right? You can capitalize more than any other deck, right? Because you can guarantee that boss when it's good. You can guarantee that, you know, Melony just to keep attacking and put the pressure on. That's what's cool. So this is a far worse hand. I think you'd agree. But I can at least get a card from Suicune here. ADP is one of the harder matchups. Luke Metal is not an easy matchup either. I'm going to set up the water just to get discarded. This may help ADP get a turn 1 GX attack, but I need to Melony next turn. Looking at my hand, I like absolutely have to. So. Looks like Cherish Ball means it's ADP. Yep. Actually, quick ball away ADP to grab Mewtwo, which can be ADP and everything else. Wow. ADP with 10 less hit points. Busted. Okay, they already had Viridian. I don't feel too bad about it. Attach and Sword. Okay. Right, so the Viridian stays for us, which is something. Means I can attack this turn. Attacking into a Zacian isn't great, but I need the cards. I really need the cards right now. Man, okay. All right, there's some basics. We'll be doing 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 into him. It's not really even good for much of a follow-up. I also really would have liked to evolve into a Drizzile this turn, so I can actually begin my quick shootings, but the way it goes sometimes. I definitely want to still put the Pokemon out. Want to get a Suicune out. Just toss a boss here, I think. Suicune's actually... Oh, sorry, not Suicune. Altaria is actually prized right now, so no need to go for him anytime soon. This is Rondo for 120. We could maybe get spicy with Rowlet later on this station. We'll see. Stalling boss. Okay. I just had to panic check that I hadn't prized my air balloons. That's funny. Because I'd already attached one, right? We'll go double Drizz. We can take an extra card. Jesse James might actually be super good this turn because he already got rid of the Viridian, so that means he has energy in hand. So if he only plays 1 or 2 cards here, we can Jesse James him down. He just about stays out of range. So let's go ahead and grab a quick shooter so I can actually take a KO this turn. Seems like a good deal. Let's draw our card. Let's draw some more cards. Another quick shooter is nice because I'm going to try and attack him with Intel after this. So I'll ping here 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Yep, that's what we're hitting. So now I can ping this, put him down to 80. So next turn I can Intel ping attack with Waterfall, actually. We'll see. Basically, they need to start getting some backup sources, right? That's the thing they've missed so far. All right, they're actually in the game. They have the quick ball for Dedenne change. They're going to get rolling. They'll be taking 3 prizes this turn. And then based on the hand... Okay, wow. So it looks like they may not have any sources or anything else to play here. Oricorio would be good for them. Yeah, okay, that's much better. They probably should have done this before the boss. Just saying. They don't want to hit the Suicune because they can more well finish this off, right, for less attachments. This is a kind of wacky build because it's playing a real Mewtwo plethora. But I think we have to aggressively stamp here. Or we could... I'm just thinking about what supporter to play. Have a lot of options as in terms of supporter. It's always the stamp. I'm just thinking if I want the extra card from the Suicune here. And use Bird Keeper. I think I do. Stamp Jesse James is kind of reasonable just to put him to 4 cards basically with the Oricorio, but he gets to keep the best one. But it still could hit just like, if I just hit sources or hit quick balls or something like that, it really hurts him. So I think I still will stamp JJ here. Okay, him not stamping us is kind of nice. Get rid of those. So he's at 80. I need to quick shooting 1 time. Let me just think about what combination actually of cards he would need. I should have... Maybe I shouldn't have KO'd this turn. Maybe I still shouldn't KO this turn. Maybe I should just retreat and pass. Because he needs to have... What does he need? He needs his 2-card hand to be boss switch, right? Yeah, we'll just pass. I guess he could go quick ball, Dedenne change, and pop off, but we're still giving him 3 less from the Oricorio here. Okay, tackle for Sinlin isn't boss. Guzhala, okay. Ah, Malolana, nice, okay. He probably still should come in and swing, though, right? If he doesn't come in and take the prizes, I can just do this again. Oh, interesting. Takes the cards. Right. So... Drizzile for boss. We're at 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Just thinking if there's any other play that I make again, if I get funky here. I could keep trying to force boss attachment from him. It's kind of scary now with his hand size. Let's make him have a bunch of sources and stuff, I think. I'm doing 150 with my intels, and he's at 180. I really don't want to attack with Suicune. It's so bad. It just means that he can play draw supporters. I think I'm going to Bird Keeper and Wind Shard him. Right, how do I want to do this? I could hit this for 120, and then it's just intel pings away from game. Or not game, but you know, it being dead. 2, 4, 6. 8, 10, 12. So now all he needs is boss, right? But we didn't give him the 3 cards. And if I boss KO the Zacian, he... Okay, so that could be game with Eldegoss here. Yeah, there you go. If we KO the Zacian that turn, he just needs, like, Saucer attachment. And he has an extra 3 from Oricorio. So it's one of those things, you know. It was a close call, which was actually best there. He'd only played... How many Saucers he played? Yeah, no Saucer played whatsoever. So I feel like you have to play to higher odds, right? He'd already played to boss. He hadn't played any Saucers. So I think that was a more winning play, but it's just funny how it worked out. Intrepid Sword, still a good option. I'm surprised he didn't take the prize, though. The prize meant that I couldn't muck about with anything else. I had to attack him with Suicune, and he would have forced the sort of better outcome of getting Oricorio off. But regardless, the 3 cards was able to close the game for him. But yeah, that's Suicune Altaria. We didn't do too much hand blocking. The Stamp JJ gave us a bit of time there in that last game, but we were basically just tempoing out on people, similar to how Zacian Inteleon is going to be playing post-rotation, I think. So that's, you know, another good baseline, and this could be another alternate option to Zacian Intel, where you just play the Suicune package instead, because Altaria has great synergy with Fleet Footing. So yeah, we'll see how things go for post-rotation, but for now, that's the list. Let me know what you guys thought about it and what you think about the archetype in general. Do you think it's going to be showing up for Pog, or do you think it's just going to be more of the same, Urshifu and Calyrex at the top? Let me know down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video tomorrow. Cheers.